our next performer is another sophomore. He's performed at the Cucumber before. His first set ever was 1 year ago at the Bulldog Day show last year. Please welcome Zach Young.
So glad to be here. How's everyone doing?
Average.
Yeah, well, so great to be here. The Cucumber is a terrific show every time. They do a great job. Some great comics have performed already. Ethan, what a way to start it off. Total living legend. Great comic. Sam Savitz, decent. But seriously, Sam's a great guy. He actually, the first time I performed at the Cucumber was when Sam personally asked me, "Hey Zach, can you do the Cucumber?" I would tell the rest, but it gets a little bit graphic. In any case, I'm not really here to tell you guys jokes. I'm actually here to give you guys advice. Worthy advice. Advice worthy of a group of Yale pre-frosh, at least. And I did this last year, actually, and one of the things that impressed me so deeply was that freshmen throughout this year would come up to me and said, "Zach, I heard you at the Cucumber. You were so informative, you changed my life." So for instance, and this will make sense for those of you who were here last year and heard the advice, one person came up to me just a few weeks ago, freckled face, wearing a blue shirt, and he's like, "Zach, you may not know who I am, but from your Cucumber show, I've learned to avoid the New Haven Green. I haven't stepped foot in it." And I was like, I'm so glad to hear that. So glad. Or another person came up to me and said, "Zach, because of your show, I've been trying not to say overtly offensive stuff. It's been a game changer." And then finally, someone said, "Zach, you know, when I came to your show, I wasn't really sure what to make of it. But when you said alcohol can always be that last excuse you need, it liberated me." So this year, I want to give you guys some new advice. I think the advice I gave last year has already become so pervasive that it's effectively common knowledge. It's why the New Haven Green has been empty throughout this year. But the three pieces of advice I'd like to give you, I'll start with something that really talks about a strength of Yale, which is its diversity. Yale has people, clubs of every type. If you want to do, drink Sam Adams, there's a club for that. There are clubs that drink wine. There are clubs that drink beer. There are clubs that drink sangria. There are clubs that drink, you name it. We have clubs that drink everything you could ever want to drink. And they do it very well. I myself am on the drinking team that has a debating problem. The second piece of advice I'd like to give you is that if you're going to go to bars, you really should have a fake. I'm speaking from experience here. Last year, my friend and I went to box at another friend's urging, and my friend and this other friend both had fake IDs. I only had my regular ID. Now, what's the problem? Well, I wasn't 21. So I was trying to convince my friend, who is a 5'9" Ethiopian, that he could just, it's like after he went in, he would sort of just like show it and slide it back to me. I'd pick it up and then present it, and then the guy wouldn't look because he'd just be so confident this whole process. Yeah, except he did look. And effectively, he was like, "Can I have your ID?" I was like, "Oh yeah, of course, yeah." I gave it to him, and he looks at it. "Who the fuck are you?" As a caveat to this, there is actually one way, surefire way, you can always get drinks without a fake ID. And the approach is as follows, and I actually did this once with someone who's in the audience. So if you're at a bar and the bartender says, or the person at the restaurant, whatever, you say, "Excuse me, I would like to get a beer." And then the person responds, "Yeah, what kind?" "Well, do you have anything seasonal, local?" We have Sam Adams. "Yeah, anything that's really just would go well with, the palate that I'm experiencing with this meal. This is a pizza shop. Well, I'll take the Sam Adams then. And then you just start immediately talking with your friend, and then they just stand there like with their kind of like thing they've been writing on, or just like, what? And usually if you just make it a really quick return to the conversation, they won't want to interrupt, and it goes very smoothly. Final piece of advice, and I think this is one that's especially important. Take big-ass lectures. And I don't mean big lectures, like listen carefully, children. Big-ass lectures, hype in between the ass and the lectures. There is so much to be gained from these classes. You have like 20 TAs to help you. There's 400 people around. They're all passing around the P sets. The lectures have been done for 40 years. It's so well. When you try taking a seminar, you end up having people who really like the subject who are in your class, and they try really hard, and it's not friendly to the curve. So that's a word of wisdom. And I'll sort of close. I was sitting in my biology seminar on Monday, and I was just, as usual, just so like, what is going on? And so I actually decided to start transcribing what the teacher was saying about our material. And this is what followed, and in seminars, oftentimes the teacher might speak off the cuff. Here's our new concept. Cells stop growing when they touch each other. We all stop growing. Our brains stop growing. Things touch each other and say, we're done. We have talked about EGFR receptors. It also has to do with cell movement. Why does restoring what should happen, which is that cells bump into each other, should stop moving? That's my set.
Thank you, Zach. Great set. One thing about Yale that Zach's set really highlighted was you'll run into a lot of events that say in the event description on Facebook or whatever, you must be 21 years older to drink in the state of Connecticut. Bear in mind, this is often one of those rules that's kind of more of a recommendation than a hard and fast rule, like don't eat food off the floor, don't sleep with your second cousin.
Sam.
Not me.
I thought we had a special.